I was almost like, I don't want to do this, and I might just take the entire month of February off.
Let's go and grab our dice and do our first roll.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. For those of you that are new here, my name is Rochelle and I read a lot of different books, and I can't believe it, but we are already done with January and we're on to February and need to go and pick the books that we're going to be reading for the month. Now, I will go and preface that January was a little bit of a mixed bag. I kind of struggled with a little bit of a reading slump, and the reading slump was really weird. It was where I couldn't really read physical books, and I was partially paying attention to my audiobooks, and I kind of read a lot more audiobooks instead of physical books, and didn't really find myself gravitating towards the books that we had picked for Defend the TBR. So we are going to do something a little bit different for February, but first off, let me go and recap everything that happened for the month of January and how well we did. So for January, the monster that we ended up going and pulling was the Beholder. I'll put a better image up above, but we got the Beholder, which was the monster that I was dreading the most. This is the one that I'm the most worried for because my partner was actually the one that made all the prompt cards for this monster. For our first roll, the first spot that we landed on was a love it or lose it spot, and with this spot it usually asks me to go and pick a book off of my bookshelves, more specifically the love it or lose it pile, which is the one that I'm not quite sure if I want to hold on to the books, and if I'm not quite sure, it is something where I need to go and read that book, and if I don't like it, I unhaul it. So the book that I decided to go with was The Wives by Taryn Fisher. This was one that kind of carried over from 2025 because I was not able to finish it before the new year. I did successfully read this one and we got a total of 3 points for it. Then roll number 2 was draw a card, and for that one I decided to go with a book that I think I have on one of my bingo boards, and it is A House with Good Bones by T. Kingfisher. I was able to go and read this one as well, but about halfway through I decided to switch over to listening to an audiobook so I could finish this book, and I got a total of 6 points for it. Then we landed on a monster prompt, and for this card it says, you are in the eye of the beholder. You must read a book where a character learns to live with losing their abilities, powers, magic to fight it off. If I was successful for this, I got 5 points. If I was not, I lost 5 points. The book that I decided to go with was I, Medusa by Ayana Gray. I felt like this one could definitely work. In some ways it might have been a little bit of a stretch, but looking at the mythology for Medusa, I felt like this would be really fitting, and this was a book that I had on my radar for the longest time and wanted to read. So thankfully we did finish this one as well, and it gave us 5 points. Lastly, we landed on Land Card, and I got read a book with a forest, and I decided to go with Two Twisted Crowns by Rachel Gillig. This one was one that I really wanted to go and read because I'd like to go and finish any book series that I'm in the middle of for the year of 2026. However, I only got 50 pages in. Like I said, I was dealing with a little bit of a reading slump, and I kind of realized that because I read the last book coincidentally a year ago to this day, I was like, I don't really remember anything about the characters, what exactly happened. So I am going and rereading the first book. I'm listening to it as an audiobook right now, just to go and familiarize myself with everything. So because with this book, I don't actually remember anything that happened, I feel like this one shouldn't count because I was really confused going into it. So this one would have earned us 4 points. However, I'm gonna go and cross this one out. I'm not gonna allow it to count for either winning us points or losing us points because I truthfully don't remember this book, and I feel like it's kind of unfair to push myself to read a book that I just have no idea what's going on. So I do plan on finishing this book in the month of February after I go and re-listen to the first book. For all the points that did end up going and counting, I have a total of 14 points to defend our library. If you're new here and this is your first time watching this, the goal of this game is to earn 100 points and defend our TBR from the monsters. However, if I do get into the negatives, that does go and add another monster to it. So I'm gonna go and switch over to the board and we'll go and see what books we're gonna end up reading. But like I said, there's going to be a little bit of a twist. So you'll see when we end up going and doing the wrap up to see what books, and I emphasize books, we're going to be reading.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Defend the TBR. I have our board set up the way it was when we last played the game, and as a reminder, if you're not quite sure for the rules and how this game is played, I do have a video that I will link above here so that you can go and rewatch that to familiarize yourself with everything. I also do have our game key here that will go and show everything for how many points each spot is worth that we land on the board. I do have our monster that we're facing currently right here. Hopefully we don't end up having any other monsters that we're up against, but that's how it looks so far. And if you would like to go and play this game as well, I do have the Google Doc with all the information listed in the description. All right, so let's go and grab our dice and do our first roll. All right, so we got 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mood read. I'm so glad we landed on that, and I'm actually going to save all the books until the very end of this video, so you're not going to see which books I'm picking quite yet. So let's do roll number 2. We got 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Land card. Read a book with lots of water. Okay, roll number 3. We got 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Another land card. Read a book set in a school. Okay, and last roll. All right, we got 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh my god, we got another land card. I think I'm gonna do another roll because I don't want to have back-to-back land cards. All right, we got 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, draw a card. Read a book with an animal on the cover. All right, I think I have all my books picked out, so I'm going to change this over to the other screen, and let's go over all the books that we're going to be reading.
All right, so here are all the books that I'm actually going to be reading this month. And you're probably like, wait, what? You only rolled 4 times, so you should only have 4 books. Yeah, I said we're going to do things a little bit differently this month, so let's go and talk about it. So, like I was saying at the beginning of the video, I've been dealing with an awful reading slump. I just haven't really had the desire to read, pick up books. I've been really struggling to dive into books, and I don't know what I'm in the mood for. And so when I was thinking about the fact that we were going to be filming another Defend the TBR episode, I was almost like, I don't want to do this, and I might just take the entire month of February off. But then I was like, you know what, how about let's make things a little bit fun? And I don't want to go from hard mode to easy mode, but at the same time, I don't really want to restrict myself to hard mode. And so what we're going to be doing, and it's very funny that our first roll was mood read, I'm actually going to pick like a handful of books that will work for each prompt. And as long as I read a book that's going to fit for that, I'm going to count the points. So at the end of the day, my goal for February is just to read 4 books, and I will still get those points. So hopefully you're not too upset at me for this, but I've been in a reading slump. The things that are going on in the world really suck, and I just want to try to do something that's going to give me joy. So I think this is going to be the option that fills up my cup the most. So for roll number 1, we landed on mood read, and this will give us 2 points. So the books that I'm kind of leaning towards, that I'm kind of in the mood for, would be between On Sundays She Picked Flowers by Yaya Schofield. This is a book that was one of my anticipated reads for 2026, and I was so lucky to go and get an ARC for this. However, I just couldn't get myself to pick it up in time before the release date in January. I'm really wanting to read this in February, especially since February is Black History Month. I felt like this would be really great. Although I didn't get to it in time for the publish date, hey, I'm still reading it for February, so that's amazing. Another option that I'm looking at is The Reformatory by Tiana Reeve Dew. This one is on my bingo board for 2026, so I've been really wanting to read this one as well. I've heard a lot of really great things about this book, and honestly, I feel like given the mood that I'm sort of in, this would be a perfect read that hopefully would get me out of my reading slump. So it's currently between these 2 books that I'm thinking of for my pick for roll number 1 for a mood read. But like I said, as long as whatever I pick works for this prompt, I'm gonna count the points at least for the month of February. Then roll number 2, we landed on a land card, and for this one we had to do something that has a setting of water, and this one is going to be worth 4 points. The books that I was looking at, I kind of struggled to find something that would fit because a lot of the books that have water I have already read, at least for what I'm in the mood for. So as some of you know, I love dystopian books, so I'm gonna go with The Stranded by Sarah Daniels. This is one where people are stuck on a ship out at sea and they're basically going and surviving there, but a lot of people are kind of not wanting to be there anymore and considering going to land, but I think there's a lot of uncertainty if it would be livable on land. So this sounds a little bit like maybe a thriller, but also dystopian. Both things I really enjoy. So right now, this is currently the one that I'm sitting on for this option. Then for roll number 3, we landed on land card again, and this one was a school setting. So I have a couple of different options right now that I'm jumping back and forth between. One of them is Their Vicious Games by Joelle Wellington. This is kind of one where it seems very much like Eat the Rich. Someone that's not necessarily rich has the opportunity to go to more of an elite school, and this one is actually one that I have on my mystery thriller bingo board. So I don't think I've actually crossed off any spots on that board quite yet, so this one would help with that goal that I have. Another one is Bloodmarked by Tracy Dion. I read Legendborn last year and I really loved it, and I've been wanting to read the second one. I know that I believe there's 3 books out right now. I don't know if the 4th one has a release date yet, but this author is really amazing and the world building is just insane. So this is definitely a high contender on the list as well for roll number 3. Then for our last roll, I ended up having to re-roll again because it seemed like we just kept getting land cards, and I want to kind of spice things up and have a little bit more options for at least what we land on the board. So I landed on Draw a Card, and this one is asking for an animal on the cover. This one was also really difficult, and I was looking through my shelves trying to find something that fit. One that did pop out was actually Midnight Rooms by Danye Coles. And there is a deer on the cover. I do really love the art on this cover so much. I love the butterflies, and there's a little teacup there. I think it's so eerie, and it definitely has me intrigued. So this is one that I'm also thinking for this option as well. So like I said, February is going to be a little bit different. I want to do something that's going to work with my reading slump and kind of allow some flexibility to figure out what I'd like to read. So as long as I read a book that's going to fit the prompt, they don't necessarily have to be in this pile that I showed you, but these are ones that are high up on my list. But as long as they work for the prompt, I'm going to count them for the month of February just because of my reading slump and not putting any additional pressure on myself and making things stay fun. So hopefully you don't mind. I hope that you're okay with this change. But yeah, if you've ended up going and playing Defend the TBR so far, I'd love to hear down below in the comments. If you are playing it or you want to play it, please let me know. Or if there's anything that you'd like to see me add to the game, I'm all ears. I'm definitely interested. And like I said, if you do want to play this game, I have all the information linked down in the comments below, as well as the description. It's just a little Google Doc that has both the rules, the playboard, the cards, all that stuff, so that you can go and play this game at home as well. And if you made it to this point of the video and you don't know what to comment, maybe go and leave an animal for our prompt that is asking for an animal on the cover. I love you all so much, and I hope that you're staying safe. Ice sucks. And I also do have some resources down in the description as well if you're wanting to go and help out with the state of Minnesota. And again, I love you all. Stay safe. And as always, please remember that you're worthy and capable of amazing things. Bye, friends.